class notes for variables and assignments. A little bit of review, basic Video Studio Shell. As usual, we will always include a header into our program. We have preprocessive directives. Define CRT secure no warnings, allows us to use the scanf without warning. The input-output library of many libraries that C has allows us to not only use the scanf command but also the printf command. Scanf and printf can't be done without the input-output library. We start our program, we stop our program. In between, we define variables that we're going to use. We sometimes initialize them, but all variable declaration goes up top. We do not declare variables within the program. If you do, I'll always comment or maybe take off a point. Variables get declared on top. Variables do not get declared within. Then our program statements show up. Our program statements, like we talked about, pseudocode. This is where our program commands, our program statements come from, is from pseudocode. Okay, variable names. When we declare our variables, how can we name them? You want to name them meaningfully. So T is a variable name, but a better variable name would be time. Variables can be any sequence of letters, lower or uppercase, underscores, or digits. Variables can start with a letter or underscore, but cannot start with a digit. They're case sensitive. I have to spell them exactly the same way. If I capitalize a certain letter, I have to have that certain letter capitalized everywhere. Otherwise, we'll get an error that our variable isn't defined. Variables cannot be reserved words like printf, scanf, while, or if, those kind of things. And then we always give our variable names. We use a certain style. Lower camelback case might be something like num items, or underscore would be something like num items. Pick one style, don't go back and forth between the two. So pick one style and you'll use that throughout the program. Okay, let's look at our next slide. We have a program that we want to write. We want to write a program that works with measurements of a box. Our code must read from the user the length, width, and height, calculate and print the volume, calculate and print the area of the four larger sizes. So the four larger sizes might be this one here up on top, the one on the side, then we have this one underneath, and then we have this one on the side. Okay, so we want the area of these four larger sides. Notice the area is going to be length times width. So length times width. The area of the two smaller sizes, so when we look at the two smaller sides, we've got this one here, the one up front, and then we have this one here, which would be the one in the back. If we look at these areas, here we have width times height. Now, if we add our four sides all together, the front and the back, as one, that's going to be called the surface area. The surface area is also what we want to get calculated. So surface area will be the four larger sides plus the two smaller sides, and that will be surface area. Now, we look at a program. We don't just open up Visual Studio and start programming. That's going to be a bad idea if you're a beginning programmer. What you want to do is think about your code, write out an outline of what you want it to do. Your outline should be detailed enough that you can turn each line into code. and remember that was what we called pseudocode. So pseudocode, we might again write a short outline. We go back to definition before. Pseudocode is small English-like sentences. We don't use the programming language, we use the English language. We're going to just outline what we need to do. And if you notice, that's how I laid out your program, sort of in a pseudocode. I first want to convert read in from a user width, length, and height. That would be the scanf command later. But for pseudocode, I just want a short English phrase. Calculate and print the volume. Okay, so in pseudocode, calculate and print the volume, and then maybe I might put in a formula to remind myself how I'm going to do that. Okay, so this is actually the pseudocode that you would need, and then if I have pseudocode, I can change each line from pseudocode into a programming language, and for us, our programming language would be C. Read would be the scanf command. Calculate would be a variable assignment. Print would be printf, and then I would just use a particular formula for calculating volume, these two areas along with surface area.